Hello Commanders, Commander Plater here, back with another Elite Dangerous video, and today I'm having a look at how the changes in update 2.203 affected my ship individually. Now obviously there may be some differences involved with what other people have experienced, but this is mainly just looking at my ship and the things that affect my gameplay style. Now the first thing I am going to mention is there are a couple of interesting things to point out. Number one is that the rebuy costs appear to have been slightly messed up, at least initially, in the update, and there seemed to be a bit of a bug there, so you'll see some real disparity in the insurance cost rebuys in there. And also I'm going to be covering everything through from my armour to my huge multi-cannons. Now there is going to be a difference in some things, not a difference in others. Something I will mention as well, just for clarity, the before the update is going to be on the left hand side and the after is going to be on the right hand side. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is my military grade composite. There's actually been no changes on this, and the update hasn't affected armour whatsoever, it appears. Even with the changing in the roll range, where originally say it would have been between 1 and 10 and now it's between 1 and 5 or vice versa, they have appeared to have actually no real change in there at all, because they said that they'd be carrying rolls over onto new changes. Next up, we're having a look at my weapon focused distributor. It's only got a level 1 upgrade on there at the moment, which has changed, I'm pleased to say. I've managed to go over to an engineer and change that, which is quite nice. And again here, there's actually been no change whatsoever on that systems recharge, the systems capacity, engines, all that kind of stuff. Everything has managed to stay the same, which is quite nice. So next up, we've got the heavy duty shield booster. Now shields were going to be affected, but it looks like Frontier have changed their minds on that and they've kept the shield tank options as a viable build there. So what they've done is they decided against the reducing the overall improvements and the way things work, so my shield strength has managed to stay at 4,258. So next up, we're having a look at one of my first weapons, and this is a small pulse laser. Now there has been some changes here, and I want to point out, first of all, we've got damage per second that has been changed. Now initially the percentage increase was 39.8, now it's only 34%. The damage has also been reduced. It was 24.5%, now it's 24%. So then we're going to look at the distributor draw, and that has actually managed to stay the same. So next up we have thermal load. Thermal load has stayed the same as well. Something else they have changed is the rate of fire. Rate of fire has actually been removed completely as an upgrade, which is a bit of a shame, so overall that's going to have a real effect on the DPS that's in there. Next up, jitter. That one stayed the same as well. Now I have two of these, so we'll have a look at the other one because they had slightly different rolls on them. But as you can see, again, the same effect has happened where we've got the reduce in certain things. Integrity stayed the same. Damage per second has been reduced by quite a bit, as you can see there, 7% reduction. Again with damage reduction there. Distributor draw stayed the same. Again with the thermal load, that's also stayed the same. And then we've got the rate of fire removed and the jitter has stayed the same as well. Okay, so next up we're having a look at one of my first beam lasers. Now originally when I had these, I had them as short range blasters because that was the role that I could afford with the materials I had, and I thought I'd give them a go. Now they are turreted, so my idea behind that is as long as I'm in range, they're going to keep fire on the target at all times. I have recently changed them, so they are no longer short range blasters, they are now efficient, and it's made a quite big difference on the amount of consistent firepower and distributor draw. So we're going to have a look at them initially. As you can see here, there's been very little change overall. In particular, distributor draw has actually gone up, and then everything else has basically stayed the same, and that's again contributed to one of the reasons why I decided to get rid of these weapons. Okay, so next up we have got the large pulse laser that I have based under the nose of the ship. Now there have been some changes here as well. Integrity stayed the same, damage per second stayed the same, damage overall has increased, and that's quite a buff there with an additional 9% worth of damage. They haven't changed the distributor draw, which is quite nice. Thermal load stayed the same. Rate of fire has had a reduction. Again, that's been dropped there as an upgrade. Again, that seems to be a fairly consistent theme in there. So next up we've got the jitter, and again that stayed the same. So next up we're having a look at one of my huge multi-cannons. First one has got corrosive shell, and that should be taken into consideration when we're talking about damage and effects and stuff, but we are just looking at raw numbers this time. So the mass has stayed the same. Damage per second has had a huge reduction, and when I'm talking huge, I mean we're talking around about 20% reduction, which is quite high based on the damage there. So before it was 39.9 per second, now it's reduced to 34.3 per second, which is quite a heavy reduction, and it is noticeable as well. The overall damage has been increased slightly, but does that damage out the damage per second or not remains to be seen. Testing must be involved. The distributor draw has stayed the same. The rate of fire has actually been removed, so where it was 25 or almost 25% faster to fire, that's been removed completely. In addition to that, the ammo clip size has been reduced. This has had a negative effect on DPS, and I can say that certainly from testing. Also, the maximum ammo, as you can see there, that stayed the same with that reduction. Okay, my second huge multi-cannon, you can see a similar theme in here with the reductions. So we've got integrity stayed the same. The damage per second was 73.6% increase, now it's down to 50.4. That's quite a reduction. But on the same side, there has been an almost 9% increase in the damage overall. Distributor draw, once again, stayed the same, and as I said before, the rate of fire has been reduced and it's completely taken out of there, and the ammo clip size has been a reduction there. There's been a lot of controversy over the changes that have been made, especially around weapons, and I do want to mention that it is a rebalance. So some things will have been reduced, some things will have been brought up, and I want everyone to bear that in mind when you're looking at building a ship and looking for combat builds. The idea is that Frontier have made all of these weapons for us to go out and use, and they would like us to use all of them, which makes sense. A lot of hard work's gone into them, and a lot of hard work has gone into the rebalance. Were huge multi-cannons overpowered before? Yes, they were. The upgrades for the engineers with the overcharged weapons, certainly. I can agree with that. Yes, it's made things more of a challenge, but once again, I'm okay with that. But once again, guys, I want to thank you for watching. And remember, leave me a comment in the comment section telling me how the update has affected your ship. Be objective about it, don't just moan and complain, guys. I want to see discussion going on. So, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, share with your player groups, turn on notifications, it's that little bell next to the subscribe button. So once again, thank you for watching. Commander Plater out.